Hi, my name is Michelle Goldberg. I'm the author of the new book, The Means of Reproduction, Sex, Power, and the Future of the World. It's a book about the global battle over reproductive rights, which I wrote in part because I don't think enough people realize that there actually is a global battle over reproductive rights. It's a book that ranges over 4 continents and 5 decades and argues two things. Argues that that women's rights are the most crucial, if most overlooked, human rights struggle of the 21st century, and that a global network of fundamentalists, often working across religious lines, has arisen and kind of made it its raison d'etre to halt and roll back women's rights. Feminism influenced the book in 2 ways. I mean, first of all, it led me to see that there was a story here, and it led me, I think, to see that there was a whole bunch of interlocking stories that weren't being told and weren't getting sufficient attention. I mean, so few people realize what an international health crisis unsafe abortion is. I mean, people are stunned when they find out that in many countries in Africa, unsafe abortion is leading to 30% of maternal mortality. Similarly, people don't realize that international rights, that reproductive rights has entered the realm of international human rights through a whole series of amazing cases. All of them have fascinating stories behind them, and that have basically established that reproductive rights, at least at some basic and essential level, trumps even the principle of national sovereignty in many cases. This is something new in the world and something that I didn't think had gotten enough attention. And reporting the book deepened my feminism because it made it very clear to me that women's rights are at the center of the solution to so many of the onrushing catastrophes that are menacing the planet, from environmental destruction to global poverty to the AIDS pandemic, overpopulation, political instability. It's astonishing how many problems you can solve when you start taking women's rights seriously. One thing I learned reporting it is that actually American abortion politics end up having an even greater impact on women's lives abroad than they do here at home. In the United States, from one president to the next, things get chipped away around the edges when Republicans are in office. We move in a dangerous direction with the courts. And if you're a poor woman dependent on the public healthcare system, obviously you can feel the difference quite intensely. But the differences abroad are even more profound. It's the difference between a whole string of clinics opening or a whole string of clinics closing. It's a difference between the United States, still the most powerful country in the world, being a major force for the liberation of women, being a major force for expanding women's rights, or being the most powerful member of an axis of fundamentalism, and working quite openly and quite astonishingly with countries like Iran and Sudan and Somalia against women's rights at the United Nations. Things are obviously changing and improving quite a bit, right? We have Barack Obama in the White House. We have Hillary Clinton, who's been a major force in global feminism as Secretary of State. But nobody, I think, should kid themselves that this is all over. The people who are opposed to women's rights remain powerful all around the world and are, actively organizing and working in obstructionist ways here in the United States. I seriously urge you to look up the YouTube clip of Congressman Chris Smith confronting Hillary Clinton at a Congressional Foreign Relations Committee hearing. He basically asks her about the administration's position on global reproductive rights, and she gives this incredible statement about the importance of giving women control over their own bodies that is the most, on the one hand, it's both the most striking, unambivalent, brave, and categorical statement of support for reproductive rights that's ever issued from the lips of a senior administration official. And it also makes the case that I try to make in my book more succinctly and more eloquently than maybe I ever could.